Hello, humans. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Probably should be telling my therapist. I've always struggled with this concept of my truth and how to tell it. But what is my truth? What does that mean? What are my guidelines here? What are my rules? There's the truth, right? Right? I enjoy philosophy, and I got into a recent discussion with my little cousin, and the question that I proposed to him was, Player 1 and Player 2, go to an amusement park. Player 1 and Player 2, ride a roller coaster. Player 1 enjoys the experience. Player 2 does not enjoy the experience. Who is right and who is wrong? And he couldn't answer the question. Yeah. I can't answer that question either. I don't know. Who's right, who's wrong? My answer to that question is another question. Why am I placing a right and wrong, very heavy terms, very morally implicatory, why am I implying morality on a preference for an experience? Could I add context to this to create a scenario where it would become something worthy of a moral judgment? Sure. But do we need to? My whole point was that I don't think you should judge people for things that don't need moral judgment. I don't know if he believes that or not. The impression I got, things are either right or wrong, good or bad. I don't know what he was trying to say. I don't think he and I were talking about anything anywhere near the same thing. And I can kind of only speak for myself, which I guess is my truth. Or my version of this event. Why am I talking about this random conversation I had with my little cousin who, I say little, but he's a young man in his early 20s. He'll always be little in my eyes. Me being old aside, why am I bringing this up? Because I don't think he is an average young man, but I think he's an average young man. For every average person out there, there's an average person like them and an average person who is nothing like them. It just kind of depends on what little world you're in. I think he believes these things because he loves to think and explore and look deeply at things, and that he tries his best not to be closed-minded, but I think that's all he knows. Before I lose my point, this. My truth didn't occur to me. No part of it made sense until I had to understand somebody else's truth. So let's bring it back to the beginning. Why am I talking about my conversation with my little cousin who's not really all that little because he's actually an adult? What does that have to do with something I should be telling my therapist? Well, I've struggled with my truth. Because what the hell is that? My truth? Like no one else's matters? Like I can just decide it on my own? Irrelevant of anything around? That made no sense to me. What's acceptable? And love my therapist. Love her. But this biddy, go ahead and tell me, oh, well that's for you to decide. I'm sorry? That's for you. You decide that. I decide? Me. Oh, good. I set the rules too. No wonder why we got oh. And that's when it dawned on me. I am a crazy MFer. Hello. I'm already doing this. I have my own truth. I'm living it. You can't avoid it. It is your existence, your experiences, your version of events, your interpretation of your life as the only person who's been there for all of it, including the thought parts. It's you, your truth. Exploring especially the most contradicting ideologies to my own help me understand better than ever before where I stand on things and what my framework for my truth is going to be. The person I am now and the person I was, let's say, at the same age as my little cousin is now. That's a good long while. I don't think that I would have expressed nearly the same truth for who I am back then, same way I would now. Be much different. In fact, in my young 20s, my truth back then would have been a little bit too flexible. I could warn young me about a lot of problems you're about to have for a lot of bad choices. But those bad choices made me who I am. My truth is unorthodox. It's gone through a lot of dramatic changes in how the narrative is told. Prior me would have told a very, very compelling narrative. Much better storyteller I was then. I was a much better storyteller back then. I hope I'm still a good storyteller now. Way back then, I was pretty dang good because I cared about that part. I cared about making sure I had people's attention, that everyone was laughing at the end. It was told in a way that even if it was the dullest story you had ever heard in your life, it would at least have been interesting to hear it the way that it was told. But I had to weasel around twisting some parts of details here and there and stretching some parts and shrinking others and exaggerating certain things. And it's really hard to tell a great narrative without editing it a little bit. It's just hard to stay true to the truth while doing that. What is the truth? Well, let's say 5 years ago, overcompensating for the wild child she used to be. That truth would have been way too rigid. My truth these days is a little bit more in between. At least, I'm going for that? I'm going for that. I can't be a wild child anymore. I need to be responsible. I need to be somewhere else other than my childhood bedroom. Somehow. Working on it. All jokes aside. My truth! I am definitely not your run-of-the-mill adult. I would definitely say that my entire life I've been a polarizing character, understandably. I'm also not necessarily a villain or a hero. I'm just me, but me's still a character. I can't avoid it, I just am. Don't get me wrong. Me is still very much a character. I'm a Looney Tune cartoon person human. I know that you see me on a 2D sort of, 3D sort of, 2D sort of way, but I promise I'm actually 3D. I'm really trying to be serious. I can't be 100% serious. I don't know how to do that, and it's kept me from being able to do a lot of things with my life. Not that I haven't enjoyed the things that I do, and not that I wouldn't be miserable doing a lot of those things that it's kept me from doing, which is, in my opinion, probably a good thing. I don't want to take life very seriously. I got one ride. There's a saying, life's a roller coaster. I'm here for the rides and experience. I'm here to enjoy it. I'm a roller coaster. Lucky for you, you get to volunteer for this ride. So if you don't want a part of it, I understand. I can't escape. I totally think that at some point I brought my point full circle. 2 points in a circle. Think I did it. I think I did it. If I didn't, well, that's probably more my truth anyway.